Hey everyone, it's Darby RiverBendSurvival again. Today we're going to talk about my knife. Over the years, I've been in the search of what I would call the perfect knife. Now, everybody needs to keep in mind, of course, as you well know, the perfect knife for me is not the perfect knife for anyone else. And just because a knife is really good does not mean that it's the perfect knife. There is little in bushcrafting or camping, well, not so much camping, in bushcrafting or survival that people take as personal as their knife. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it is the be-all to end-all. And I understand it. I kind of have the same feelings towards mine. If there was one item, you always get that question, if there was one item you could take with you, what would it be? It would be a knife. And I've had plenty of knives. But none of them were perfect. None of them were what I would call my knife now. There is a quick little backstory on that statement. During the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s, this was my knife. It breaks all the rules that everybody always talks about, the rules I don't believe in. And the reason I don't believe in those rules is because of this knife. It has the serrated edge on the back up here. It has the hollow handle. It's not full tang. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it in a previous video or two before. I trust this knife with my life. I have literally taken it to Africa, to the Middle East. It's been everywhere, has never failed me. And I love this knife. I used it solid for 20 years or more. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you can see it is well worn. In the early 2000s, I started thinking about my knife and that, there were some things about it that I don't like. And that started me on the search. I started going through knife after knife after knife. Folks, I'm not kidding you. Within 15 foot of me in my room here, there's 50 to 100 knives. I try knives and try them and try them. There's a lot of them that I like. This knife here almost became my knife. You still see it on my hip a lot up at the land, off-grid property. This is the knife I wear most of the time up there. It has some shortcomings with the antler handles. They're kind of flexible and I'm afraid they're going to break. It's stainless steel. It's got some things about it that make it not perfect. I like the size and the weight and the feel of it, but it's far from being perfect for me. A couple of months ago, I traded Brian. I'll put a link to his channel down below. I've traded Brian some binoculars, I'm pretty sure, for this knife. It's the Air Force Survival knife that's been modified some before I ever got it. It came real close to being my knife. I like this knife a lot. But there were a couple of things on it that made it where it just wasn't quite perfect. That brings us to the subject at hand. I did an unboxing video from Little John, from Denny Bushcrafting Outdoors, I think is the name of his channel. I'll put a link to that down below too. I did a trade with Little John, and he sent me a BK-16. I like the BK knives, the Becker BK series. I have a bunch of them, but I didn't have the 16. He had one, he didn't like it, and he traded me. I remember in the video, when I took it out of the box, having never used it for anything, I loved the way it felt. That got me thinking about it, and I decided to approach this perfect knife scenario differently. I decided that since I liked the way that knife felt and was shaped, I was going to make it into my perfect knife, to my knife. Keep in mind, this is not an off-the-shelf knife anymore. There's very little about it that's the same as when you go and buy one. And sometimes that's a necessary evil. We'll start with the obvious thing off the top. It came with a piece of crap sheath. I remember talking about that in the video. I don't know why Becker can't make a good sheath. Most people would pay extra money for a good sheath. They'd put them in crap. I wound up making my own sheath out of leather. Has the dangler and the loop for the fire steel. It's far from perfect. I'm not a leather worker, but I've been using it for months. No problem at all. Have no issues with the sheath. The next issue is the BK series all come with this funky black coating on it. Some people like it, some don't. It's my knife. I don't like it. I got rid of the coating and I put my own patina on the knife. The last issue that I had with the knife was the scales. It was the same complaint that Little John had about it, is they were kind of slick, especially when they got wet. I wound up getting a hold of a guy that I know through Facebook named Denny. He's out of England somewhere. And I'd seen pictures of the scales that he'd been making for people. I got in touch with him through instant messenger thing, and I said, can you make me a set of scales for my BK16? And he said, yes. Sent him the money. And there were some delays for different reasons. And he comes back a while later and he said, would you let me make you the scales out of something new? And I said, well, will it hold up like the micarta scales? And he goes, yes. And if it doesn't, you just send them back to me and I'll make you the micarta scales. And I said, cool. I think they made them out of lavender. He watches my videos. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. I said, yes. I'm going to have the only one. He said, yes. So as it stands right today, I'm the only person that has these scales. I'm sure that'll change, but for right now, that's a pretty cool thing to say. Anyway, he makes me the scales. He sends them to me. They're not right. They don't fit right. They're the wrong shape. They're the wrong size. They don't have, the depth isn't correct. I get a hold of him. He immediately says, send them back, I'll fix it. I said, cool. I sent them back. I got them back. This is Saturday. I got them, I guess, on Thursday night when I got home from work. They were in the mail. Folks, he outdid himself. These are absolutely perfect. It took months to get this process done, through delays on his side, through delays on my side, through special things that I wanted, through new material, through resizing. It took a long time to get these. In my opinion, it's worth every penny and every minute I had to wait. These are perfect. If I do another knife, I will have Denny do my scales. That's the quality that's involved here. I love them. I'll put close-ups at the end, some pictures, close-ups of the handles. They look almost like burlap. I told him I wanted something natural looking, and I wanted dark liners, black or forest green. I got black. It looks like burlap when you look at it up close. You'll see in the pictures in the end. This is now my knife, with the exception of maybe some day hike videos or something like that, or special little project videos. Any of the major outings I have, the bike camping trips, the big hiking trips, meetups, those kind of things, as it stands right now, this is the last knife you will ever see on my hip. Now, that is a fairly bold statement for somebody that does what I do in the bushcrafting world. I'm not talking about videos, but I'm talking about as much as I'm out doing this stuff. But when you come across the knife or make the knife that is yours, It's exactly that. I'll give you the perfect example of that. Bill in the Hills, Billy Joe Denny. A great guy, love him. I love to go camping with Billy. I keep up with what he's got going on. He has a knife that looks like it was made in the 1900s. It's a sheath knife. It's probably about the length of this one. That is his knife. Don't ever doubt it. Billy could have whatever knife he wanted. That is a knife that's on Bill's hip. I love the knife because of how old it looks and how worn it is. The shape and size of it's nice. I love it because it's his. But if I had that knife, if I was to receive it in the mail tomorrow, I would keep it. I would treasure it. I wouldn't carry it. Not because I'm afraid of breaking it. It's not my knife. It's not perfect for me. It's perfect for him. He loves it. That makes it his. So, when somebody says, this is the last knife you're going to see on my hip, that's a fairly bold and in the video world, dangerous statement to make. Having said that, I cannot foresee any reason why I would ever wear another knife. And I get questions non-stop. What knife do you use? What knife do you use? What was that knife you had in this video? What was the knife you had in that video? And that still comes up. I'm not trying to curb that. I like that people are paying enough attention to see what knife I'm using. And like I said, you'll probably still see some random ones at different times. But my knife now is this one. I need to give a big thank you to Little John. Without him, none of this would have ever started, and I wouldn't be at the position I am now. Thanks, John. I need to give a big thank you to Denny Carey. Great customer service, phenomenal product, great pricing, and he put up with my. I can be a little difficult sometimes, and he put up with all that. Great job. I highly recommend if you want custom scales to get them from him. Anyway, I just want to show this, let everybody see what's been going on, a little part of what's going on the bushcrafting side of my life. The last couple of days I've been messing with this pretty much non-stop. Anyway, get out in the dirt and have some fun. Thanks.